much more time to think about the fate of settlements in the West Bank, because the various negotiations and plans for the evacuation have stalled, as you know, and there's nothing so immediately on the horizon, and we decided to work differently. First of all, we've set up an institute for it together with Alessandro Petti and Sandy Hilal in Bethlehem, where our office is operating, where we have both an architectural office and a residency program for various other practitioners, architects and others who are willing to work with us on this project. And of course, if anyone here is wanting to come, he or she is invited. So, in fact, we have as well many more settlements to think about, and the kind of attitude that we've adopted is to think about architecture as an arena of speculation, how the discussion on the architectural scale, much like that kind of strange negotiation, this sort of geopolitical negotiation on the US, Russia, the EU, the World Bank, etc., about the single-family home in Gaza before, how architectural discussion can actually open and shift the new directions in political debate. No? How can we use architecture to break away from the very familiar, heavy terms in which we speak about the conflict, the one-state solution, the two-state solution, etc., 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 which are becoming like even barriers to discussion. So this program is actually operating in various ways. We're working with NGOs, in partnership with NGOs, with municipalities, with various universities in the West Bank, running programs on decolonization and architecture. Again, using architecture as an arena of speculation and kind of bringing up the possibility, right? The potential that this would be evacuated and we will be able to think about the future as, inserting this idea into various levels in Palestinian society. This is something that is it's not that obvious. I mean, maybe you think that this discussion would take place, but in fact there was so much reluctance and so much hate and so much as well, hate that is transferred to architecture itself, architecture embodying that a very practical political discussion around that, an architectural one, did not take place before. So we've in fact chosen a settlement not far away from this point of antenna that I showed you before. If that is the antenna in the band, we were taking that settlement. The reason that we've taken that as a kind of a case study, a site where we will try out various possibilities, various strategies of reuse, is that there's something very strange about it. It is both urban and suburban. It's simultaneously urban and suburban. It is suburban vis-a-vis Jewish geography, right? This is where it is, and this is Jewish Jerusalem, the center of Jerusalem. So this is basically a bedroom community, but it's surrounded from all parts by Ramallah, which is a very kind of cosmopolitan, I would even say, Palestinian city north of Jerusalem, the center of Palestinian, after Israelis have strangled Jerusalem and suffocated it, it's become the kind of the alternative cultural and political center for Palestinians. So it is simultaneously urban and suburban, right? And it will always stay urban and suburban. It is always will be connected to the main highway that, even if it's completely surrounded, it would be like almost like an island within this area. So that was the challenge. We've tracked its history, and we saw that, in fact, it was built around, just like the one that I was telling you before was built around the antenna, it was built around a water reservoir, a big water tank that is actually serving a large part of the water needs of Ramallah. And in fact, still today, that water tank is in the settlements. There is a bit of Ramallah inside that Jewish settlement. You see today, and its typical suburban structure and its proximity to Ramallah. Here it is on this hilltop. This is the center of Ramallah and the main road leading to it. Another kind of shot where you can see the relationship between and the difference in the built fabric between those two settlements. And this is a view from the last house. This is the proximity that we are talking about. This is from the last house in the settlement called Psagot into Ramallah. etc. This is Palestinian. Ramallah is a Palestinian city, so to say.
Because I was thinking, because of the slaughter, each year, I was thinking, why is not taken by Jews? Because they resist still in
Ramallah. Well, the logic of occupation is actually that as well of segregation. No? So, in fact, I think that as you saw in the map, Jewish colonization is kind of bisect and cut apart Palestinian built fabric. Leave them there, but completely surrounded in kind of islands. They are organized around life, rather than around territory. They don't want to include those people within the Israeli political system, so they just kind of cut them off, taking the land but leaving the people out. I think that it is perhaps fair to say, it's a house, Alma. That the single-family home is the molecular level of the occupation. Now, operating in this kind of field of radical indeterminacy, we don't know whether there will be an evacuation, if there will be, when it will be, if it will be, which one will be evacuated, etc. So there is the very foundation of planning and architecture we don't have, a kind of any stable field that we can refer to. So any kind of planning on the overall level would be completely futile. So we decided to go to the absolute kind of unit, the indivisible unit, if you like, of it, what we call the molecular level of the occupation, which is the single-family home. If we can unlock its potential of transformation, because although there are hundreds of thousands of built structures in the West Bank, the number of typologies is rather limited. How many typologies? There are maybe 100 typologies. So we need to analyze them in terms of the structure, in terms of the infrastructure, and see what is the level of flexibility of the single unit. How we can unlock its potential of transformation. So if you see, for example, that is a very beautiful image from, I think, of an artist called Efratshvili, who is kind of showing that very banal-looking house, but look at the kind of contradictions in it between a kind of a desire for locality embodied in the cladding from stone and, this kind of foreignness, perhaps Europeanness that is embodied by its tiled red roof, and then the kind of arched doorway, which is kind of as well as an oriental gesture, perhaps, embodying those contradictions. And here an image of Palestinian building a model, in fact an architectural model, which is part of those voodoo rituals, part of that kind of demonstrations where things are burnt, the doll of Bush, an Israeli flag, an American flag, we've seen it all, but here an architectural model is being burnt. And in fact I think that kind of embodies the relation to architecture, our understanding, or Palestinian understanding of architecture as the symbol and the essence of their oppression. Architecture must burn in order for liberation to come. So into that kind of level of animosity, we need to intervene. There are various types of homes which we are mapping, etc., etc. And we saw this image, I think Ines has passed it to us, which is by an artist, a German artist called Thomas Werder. And we were looking at it and we didn't initially understand what we liked about it so much. And in fact, I think that what is rather fabulous about it for me is the way in which the snow, right, erases any features of the ground, and leave that settlement, wherever it is, North Pole, I don't know, whatever, the homes standing as pavilions. There is no private garden, there is no sidewalk, there is no road. There is a kind of an erasure of the surface that in fact liberate a kind of a different relationality between the buildings. The minute the snow would melt, you would see that in fact some houses are along a road and each family has got its own little garden and all these petit bourgeois things which are for this moment erased. Rather banal, but for us a powerful idea that would perhaps allow to rethink the transformation